I never thought my marriage to Diana would end with her trying to kill me. We'd been together for 8 years. 8 years of building a life, sharing dreams, and believing in forever. But somewhere along the way, forever became a lie I was too blind to see. It started 3 months ago when Diana hired a personal trainer named Jake Moreno. She said she wanted to feel confident again, to reclaim her body after years of letting herself go. I supported her completely. Jake was everything I wasn't. Tall, muscular, with that easy charisma that made everyone gravitate toward him. I even paid for the expensive gym membership and the private sessions twice a week. He had sun-bleached hair and a smile that could sell ice to Eskimos. Diana would come home from her sessions glowing, talking endlessly about his motivational techniques and his transformative approach to wellness. I was genuinely happy for her. She seemed alive again, energized in a way I hadn't seen in years. The late-night conversations returned. The laughter came back. We even started being intimate again after months of distance. One evening in bed, after we'd made love with an intensity that surprised us both, Diana traced circles on my chest and whispered, "I want us to reconnect, really reconnect." "We are reconnecting," I murmured, kissing her forehead. "No, I mean completely. Away from all the distractions, work, phones, the constant noise of the city." She propped herself up on one elbow, her eyes bright with excitement. "Jake mentioned this cabin his family owns in the mountains. It's completely isolated, beautiful. He said he could guide us through some couples exercises, help us communicate better." I felt a small twist in my gut. "Jake? You want our personal trainer to come with us on a romantic getaway?" Diana laughed, running her fingers through my hair. "Baby, don't be insecure. He's a professional. He does couples retreats all the time. This is about us, about saving what we have before it's too late." The way she said "too late" sent a chill through me, but I pushed it aside. Maybe she was right. Maybe we did need professional help, and if this was how modern couples therapy worked, who was I to judge? "Okay," I agreed, "if you think it'll help us." She kissed me deeply, passionately. "It will, I promise. This will change everything." 2 weeks later, we were loading the car for our renewal weekend. Diana was giddy, packing and repacking her bag with an attention to detail that seemed excessive for a rustic cabin trip. Jake arrived in his own SUV, looking annoyingly perfect in hiking gear that probably cost more than my monthly salary. "Ready for this, my man?" he asked, clapping me on the shoulder with forced familiarity. "Ready as I'll be," I replied, watching Diana's face light up when she saw him. As we drove into the mountains, leaving cell service behind, Diana reached over and squeezed my hand. No phones, no distractions. Just honesty and healing. I squeezed back, not knowing I was holding the hand that would soon try to end my life. The cabin was more isolated than I'd imagined. A weathered wooden structure nestled between towering pines, accessible only by a narrow dirt road that wound through miles of forest. The nearest neighbor, Jake mentioned casually, was at least 15 miles away. "Perfect for disconnecting," Diana said, breathing in the mountain air with theatrical enthusiasm. We settled in quickly. The cabin had 3 bedrooms, a spacious living area with a stone fireplace, and a kitchen that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1970s. Jake took the master bedroom without asking, while Diana and I claimed the smaller room at the end of the hall. That first afternoon passed pleasantly enough. We hiked a nearby trail, Jake leading the way while pointing out various plants and wildlife. He and Diana walked close together, their bodies occasionally brushing in a way that made my jaw tighten. But I told myself I was being paranoid, jealous without cause. Dinner was surprisingly good. Steaks that Jake grilled while Diana prepared a salad and I opened wine. We ate on the deck as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. "So tomorrow we start the real work," Jake announced, refilling Diana's wine glass before touching his own. Communication exercises, trust-building activities. It's going to get intense, but that's where the breakthrough happens. Later, after we'd cleaned up and retreated to our room, Diana initiated sex with an urgency that felt almost desperate. She was rougher than usual, more demanding, biting my shoulder as she moved above me in the darkness. "I love you," she gasped as we finished. "No matter what happens, remember I loved you." The phrasing struck me as odd. Loved, past tense. But she kissed me before I could question it, then rolled over and fell asleep almost immediately. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the forest. Around midnight, I needed water. My throat was dry, possibly from the wine or the mountain air. I slipped out of bed quietly, not wanting to wake Diana. As I padded down the dark hallway in my boxers, I heard voices from the living room, low, urgent whispers. I froze, instinct telling me to stay hidden in the shadows. "Tomorrow during the hike," Jake was saying. "The cliff overlook. Everyone knows those rocks are unstable." "But what if someone finds out?" Diana's voice, tight with anxiety. "Who's going to find out?" "We're alone out here. Tragic accident. Husband loses his footing, falls to his death while his devoted wife and her trainer tried desperately to save him." Jake's tone was almost amused. "You'll be devastated, obviously, but these things happen." "And the insurance?" "We'll pay out in 6 months like we discussed. Then we can finally be together without sneaking around, without pretending." My heart hammered so loudly, I was certain they'd hear it. Diana laughed softly, and the sound, once so familiar and comforting, now seemed monstrous. "He won't survive the morning," she said simply. I pressed myself against the wall, barely breathing, as they continued planning my murder in casual, intimate tones. When I finally crept back to our bedroom, Diana was still sleeping peacefully, a slight smile on her lips. I didn't sleep. How could I? The woman lying next to me, the person I'd trusted with my life, was planning to take that life before noon. And Jake, the man I'd paid to help us, was her accomplice and lover. My mind raced through options. Running wasn't viable. We were miles from anywhere, and Jake would easily catch me on foot. My phone had no service, and I'd seen Jake collect all our devices anyway, claiming it was part of the digital detox experience. Confronting them would be suicide. I was outnumbered, and Jake was significantly stronger. If I revealed I knew, they'd simply accelerate their timeline. So I lay there in the darkness, forcing my breathing to stay calm, and I thought about the cliff overlook Jake had mentioned. I'd noticed it on the trail map when we arrived, a scenic viewpoint about 2 miles from the cabin, accessible by a narrow path that hugged the mountainside. By dawn, I had a plan. It was risky, but it was better than waiting to be pushed off a cliff. I woke Diana with gentle kisses, acting like a man who'd spent the night dreaming of his wife rather than planning his survival. "Morning, beautiful," I murmured against her neck. She stretched, cat-like, studying my face. "Sleep well?" "Like a baby. I'm actually excited about today. This trip was a good idea." Relief flickered across her features. "I'm glad you feel that way." Over breakfast, Jake outlined the day's itinerary. "We'll start with a sunrise hike to the overlook. Amazing views, perfect for some reflection exercises. Then back for lunch and afternoon workshops." "The overlook sounds incredible," I said enthusiastically. "Actually, I was thinking, why don't you two go ahead? You're both more experienced hikers, and Diana, this would be a good chance for you and Jake to discuss the exercises while I prepare lunch. I want to surprise you both with something special." Diana and Jake exchanged a glance, quick, but I caught it. They hadn't expected this deviation. "We should all go together," Diana insisted. "That's the whole point." "I know, but honestly, I'm feeling a bit queasy." Maybe something I ate. I'd rather not slow you down, and I'll have food ready when you get back. I rubbed my stomach for effect. Besides, you've been raving about Jake's insights. Get some one-on-one time with him. Jake's eyes narrowed slightly, calculating, but the offer was too convenient to refuse. If you're sure, man, we'll be back in about 2 hours. I watched them leave together, hiking boots crunching on gravel, their shoulders touching as they disappeared into the tree line. Then I moved quickly. I searched Jake's room first, finding his truck keys in a jacket pocket. Then I located the satellite phone he'd hidden in his luggage. Of course he had one, despite the no devices rule. I powered it on and called 911, speaking rapidly and quietly. My name is Nathan Pierce. I'm at a cabin in the Cascade Mountain Range. Coordinates I'll provide. My wife and her lover are planning to kill me and make it look like an accident. I need police here immediately. The 911 operator kept me on the line, her voice calm and professional as I provided every detail I could remember. The address Jake had given, the trail markers we'd passed, the description of both vehicles. She assured me officers were being dispatched, but it would take time to reach such a remote location. At least 90 minutes, she estimated. Can you stay safe until then? I'll do my best. After hanging up, I worked quickly. I couldn't let Diana and Jake find me at the cabin, alone and waiting. That would raise too many questions. Instead, I needed to be where they expected me to be, but on my terms. I grabbed a kitchen knife and Jake's truck keys, then hiked up the trail they'd taken. The morning was crisp and clear, birds calling from the pines. Under different circumstances, it would have been beautiful. I reached the overlook about 40 minutes later. Just as Jake had described, it was stunning. A rocky outcropping that jutted over a steep drop, offering panoramic views of the valley below. And yes, the ground near the edge was unstable, loose rocks shifting under my weight as I approached. I positioned myself carefully, 20 feet back from the edge, and waited. They appeared 30 minutes later, moving slowly, in no hurry. I could hear Diana's laughter before I saw them, that same musical sound that used to make my heart lift. Now it made my blood run cold. When they rounded the bend and spotted me, surprise flashed across both their faces. "Nathan!" Diana called out, recovering quickly. "What are you doing here? I thought you weren't feeling well." I stood my ground, letting them approach. I started feeling better and didn't want to miss the view. "You were right, Di. It's incredible up here." Jake smiled, but his eyes were calculating, reassessing. He positioned himself subtly between me and the trailback. "Good to see you, buddy. Come check out this spot over here. The view is even more amazing." He gestured toward the cliff's edge, to the exact spot where the ground looked most treacherous. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I think we should talk about your plans for this morning." The pretense dropped like a mask. Diana's face hardened, while Jake's expression turned dangerous. "What are you talking about?" Diana asked, but her tone confirmed everything. "I heard you last night. Every word. The insurance money, the tragic accident, how I wouldn't survive the morning." I pulled the knife from my jacket, holding it defensively. "Change of plans." Jake laughed, a cold sound. "You think a kitchen knife changes anything? There's 2 of us, Nathan, and accidents can still happen." He started moving toward me, hands raised in mock surrender. "Come on, man. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." "Stop," I shouted. "The police are already on their way. I called them an hour ago on your satellite phone, Jake. The one you kept hidden despite telling us no devices." Jake froze. Diana's face went white. In that moment of their hesitation, I heard it. The distant sound of helicopter rotors cutting through the mountain air. The next 30 minutes unfolded like a fever dream. The helicopter belonged to the county sheriff's department, dispatched quickly due to the nature of my call. 2 officers rappelled down to the overlook, while 3 more came up the trail, weapons drawn. Diana tried to run. She actually turned and bolted back down the path, only to collide with Deputy Chen coming the other way. She fell hard, scraping her hands and knees on the rocky ground, and started screaming that I was crazy, that I'd threatened them, that Jake had tried to protect her. Jake took a different approach. He raised his hands immediately, face carefully neutral. "Officer, thank God you're here. My client's husband has been acting erratically all morning. We were concerned for everyone's safety." "Client?" I said. "Is that what Diana is to you? Because last night I heard you planning my murder in pretty explicit detail, including how you'd split my life insurance." "He's delusional," Diana spat, being handcuffed by Deputy Chen. "We never said anything like that. He's been paranoid for months, accusing me of having an affair." "The satellite phone," I interrupted, looking at the lead officer. "I called 911 from it. The call logs will show the exact time, and I can tell you word for word what they said last night, because I stood in that hallway and listened to every detail of their plan." The lead officer, Sergeant Williams according to his badge, nodded slowly. "We'll be examining everything, including phone records, insurance policies, and any communication between these two. For now, everyone's coming down to the station." They searched Jake and found zip ties in his backpack. Zip ties on a couple's wellness retreat. Diana couldn't explain those away. In the back of a police SUV, separated from my would-be killers, I finally allowed myself to shake. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me hollow and nauseous. I'd survived, but the cost was everything I'd thought my life was. The investigation moved quickly. Jake's phone revealed months of texts between him and Diana, explicit messages detailing their affair and, more damning, several conversations about my life insurance policy and how unfortunate accidents happen all the time in the mountains. Diana tried to claim it was just fantasy, that they never intended to act on it. But the zip ties, the isolated location, the suspicious timing of the trip, and my detailed account of their conversation created a narrative the prosecutor found compelling. They were both charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Jake eventually took a plea deal and testified against Diana in exchange for a reduced sentence. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I sat through every day of it, watching the woman I'd loved try desperately to avoid the consequences of her choices. She got 20 years. Jake got 12. I sold our house, quit my job, and moved across the country. Some nights I still wake up thinking I'm in that cabin, hearing whispers in the dark, but I'm alive. I changed one small detail in their plan. I stayed awake when I was supposed to sleep, and it saved my life. Trust, I learned, is the most dangerous gift you can give someone, and sometimes survival means being willing to lose everything except yourself.